Welcome to the Cybersecurity Summit podcast at Summit Conversation. So we're here today with Loren Dealy Mahler, and she's actually the co-chair of this year's summit. And I'm excited to have this conversation because when she came in town for the spring soiree, which kicks off our 14th annual Cybersecurity Summit season, we started having these conversations and we thought, you know what, we better record this because it's such a great insight into why people are involved with the Cybersecurity Summit. And I think once you know why other people are involved, you know why you want to be involved. So welcome. I'm glad you're with us here today.
Thank you. I'm excited to have a chance to do this.
Well, so tell me about, so first of all, we want to know why we care about you. So tell us, right? Besides being the co-chair, you work in cybersecurity. Tell us about where you're currently at and what kinds of things you do there.
Okay, so my name is Loren Dealy Mahler. I am a senior director at Invariant. I work in our strategic communications and public affairs practice. We also have a government relations arm, and we integrate for our clients very smoothly when necessary. My specific role, I work with companies who want to explain themselves and talk about themselves in a way that allows them to position more successfully in their industries. Companies who are ready to grow and do more, whether it's in the DC area or whether it's more broadly across their industry. Mm-hmm. We help them just be a little bit smarter and a little bit more strategic about what they're already doing so that they can go out and do more of it more successfully.
And you have some good DC chops already. So, I'm going to set the stage where you get to share a little bit why you're doing the job today you're doing.
So the first half of my career, the first 10 plus years, was in Washington, D.C. I had different roles around the federal government in communications and policy and legislative affairs roles. Mm-hmm. I started on Capitol Hill, spent several years with the Armed Services Committee in the House of Representatives, and then I moved over into the administration. Mm-hmm. I worked at the Department of Defense in the Office of the Secretary's Legislative Affairs Office. I did communications and policy over there, and then spent some time over at the National Security Council at the White House doing legislative affairs work over there as well. So did my stint in all the cool seats you can sit in Washington. Mm-hmm. And then for the last 12 or so years, I have been up in the New York area working with private sector clients, working with corporations, companies, academic institutions, nonprofits, all around
communications, right?
We'll cut that over there. Yep. Yeah, so around the working with companies and nonprofits and institutions and organizations in the communications space to more strategically approach the way they position themselves within their industry so that they can be more successful and grow in the way that they project.
And is this typically adjacent or at the intersection of public sector as well, typically?
Absolutely. Yep. There's a strong intersection and what I call a very fun gray space between public and private work where companies want to talk to, interact with, learn more about, win business from the government in different ways, shapes, and forms, and in different areas. And so we work now with companies who have those interests to help them achieve that. But my cybersecurity thread has been common throughout my 20-plus year career, working with companies who are either in that space or who are needing to learn more about that space and needing to be involved in that space more than they may have been before, and helping them do that in a smarter, strategic way.
Well, and I'm thinking that that's not so typical from other people in the moment where a lot of folks that come to the Cybersecurity Summit aren't cyber professionals, they're business leaders who have to understand cyber and what's happening in that world.
Exactly. I think that's a big part of it. Cybersecurity has become something that, as we all know now, everybody needs to touch on. Everyone needs to understand. Everyone needs to, regardless of their role, know what's happening and what they can do to protect themselves, their organization, their company, in a way that allows them to continue doing what they're doing without this constant fear and dread hanging over them.
And is that one of the reasons you keep coming back to the Cybersecurity Summit?
So it's funny. The summit here in Minneapolis it always makes people laugh when I tell them that I'm coming back here, because I've never lived here. I don't live in the Twin Cities. I've never lived in Minnesota.
It is in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It is. It's perfectly located. I got involved when I was living in DC, when I was living and working in Washington. And now I work out of our New York office, and I have been coming back for 10 years. And I think what keeps drawing me back here, because there are so many conferences and there are so many summits and events all across different industries that touch on cyber throughout the year, but I think there is something that is just very unique and very special about what we've built here with the Cybersecurity Summit that makes it different. And it keeps pulling me back in, and it keeps pulling other people back in year after year. And it's more than just the high-level speakers and the sessions where you're learning about hot topics in cyber right now and you're learning about what's coming next. We have all of that, and we do all of that. But for me, the part that just makes it so different here is the people. It's more than just an event where you show up once a year and you network for 3 days, you add some new names to your contact list, you go home, maybe you send them an email now and then and see if something happens. But it's really a place where relationships are built. It's focused on that. It's designed around that. And it comes from sort of the bottom top to bottom of building relationships throughout the year after year. And as more people come and get involved, that just expands. And that community that is grown here and that has been built over the years has just expanded to include so many new people. But it's such a force that it just pulls people back in, including myself, year after year.
Well, I think what you were talking about, top to bottom, bottom to top, there is quite a range of different kinds of people at the summit. It isn't just this narrow cast, certain level. There's clearly leaders, executives, thought leaders, etc. But there's a number of job transitioners and people of across public and private sector and health and medical and different industries. And
Absolutely.
So it seems like there's a really interesting milieu of folks that are circling around a general topic with different kinds of ways they approach it.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that makes it so interesting to come back and meet different people who are here, because they come from so many different areas. To me, a lot of what really lays the groundwork for all of this starts with the way the summit is built, the way that it's put together. It starts with the think tank. It starts with the think tank advisors. It's a group of 40 to 50 folks who are industry leaders, but across so many different sectors, across cybersecurity and those who are security leaders in other industries, folks from academia and the military and the government. And it's a group that just understands what is happening in this area because they're in it day to day and they're working on it day to day. They understand what's important now, what's going to be important tomorrow, and what's going to be important the days and the months after that. And so when you put together an event that starts with that group building it, it's a committee structure that we work from where every subject, every speaker, every track that's put together is built from that group's collective knowledge of what's important and what matters. It's not just, we have an entire session because this person sponsored, so now you're going to listen to them. We actually vet every sponsor that is involved in the summit. So if you do hear from someone who is a sponsor, it's because this group of industry leaders believes that that person has something to share, has something that is important and helpful and useful and that we can all learn from. So bringing all of that together creates such a space for people from all these different parts of their career and all these different parts, as you said, who are maybe transitioning into the space, who are looking to get into the area, or who have been around a while and, okay, now I really need to start paying attention and see what's going on, all the way up to people who have been doing this for their entire career. Everyone finds something and a part of the community when they're here, both at the event and throughout the year.
Well, and there's 50 think tank advisors, so it's not like it's 12 folks. It's not like a board of directors. It's an advisory board.
Right.
And so when you're talking about those sponsors, you think about it like it's almost a soft referral that someone on that think tank has actually used this service that the sponsor's providing, or that kind of thing, because most of sponsors in this space are service providers of some type. It's not some hard-coded something like that. So think about getting a referral from one of the best minds of the time in cyber, and you kind of go, oh, now if I'm shopping for those things, what a great place to be able to start at least and get a short list.
Absolutely. And the same way that as you meet new people and meet new individuals and build relationships with new folks throughout the year and at the summit, before, during, and after, so much of it is meet this person, meet that person. Oh, let me introduce you to. And it works the same way with our sponsors as well. They're companies that are actually used and vetted. So you're not showing up going, well, I've never heard of this person before, but now they're going to be presenting to me for an hour. It's something that is going to be, you're going to find something that is useful in every presentation and in every corner of the event.
There's something else you brought up that I think is really interesting. You talked about these folks knowing what's coming up and looking at that. And this year's theme is All In for Next.
Yes, we're very excited about that.
So that's a real good finger on the pulse.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. This year's theme I'm very excited about. The theme is, as you said, All In for Next, which captures the idea of we're not just coming together for 3 days to talk about what we're already doing. We're not coming together to look back and rehash and pull out, a handful of lessons learned or talk about what we're doing today. There's so much moving so quickly in not just cybersecurity, but across all of technology, and all industries are being impacted right now in such a rapid pace that for those folks who are charged with keeping all of this secure and keeping everyone safe during this rapid pace of change, it's so much more vital to look over the horizon. It's so important to say, what can we do today that helps us prepare for that thing we can't see that we know is coming anyway? And there are so many ways and opportunities to position and to prepare now, regardless of what pops up over the horizon, what ends up coming around that corner when we don't know it now, but what can we do? And a huge part of that really embraces the strength of the summit, because a huge part of that is working together. It's everybody being on the same team, being on the same page, and coming together to prepare for what that is. So it's not just, when we say all in for next, it's not just the next, but it's the all in. It's everybody coming together saying, all right, all hands on deck, let's get ready, and then we'll see what happens.
Well, and we see that all in with the think tank advisors, because they actually serve on various committees to bring the programming together and shape the event. But then there's this monthly meeting that are getting very energetic. There are very energetic discussions with a lot of different perspectives.
Right. We definitely have a lot of folks with a lot of opinions, which is great. That's
awesome.
That's how you become a leader in your field. You don't just sit back and let everyone else do the talking and the thinking. You do it yourself. So when we bring that many of that personality type together, you get a lot of opinions, you get a lot of ideas, you get a lot of really interesting thinking about what's happening now, what's happening next. And as you said, we're not just all in our work every day, but everyone's all in on building out the summit. Every aspect of it is managed and handled and put together by different subgroups of people on the think tank. So it has that touch in every corner.
And what's really interesting about it is you talked about the opinions and everything, and those opinions come from real life experiences and dealing with some of the biggest threats in the world at some of the biggest companies and some of the boutique companies and being a service provider and all that. Yep. So it's really, I believe that the think tank is curated to have all 14 critical infrastructures involved. So you have this lovely continuum of expertise in the room, and yes, that makes varying degrees of
absolutely.
People are looking at the same thing, but from all different angles, right?
Absolutely, and that's where you get some of the best, most durable, lasting solutions. You get big challenges or big opportunities, and they require big solutions. So when you bring in so many different big thoughts and big opinions and big ideas to bear on the same challenge, you end up with solutions and plans and strategies that you wouldn't have come up with just looking at it from one or two perspectives.
Well, I'm pretty confident after Friday's meetings that there's a lot of other meetings or other conversations that happen throughout the day individually because of certain things that get sparked and that kind of thing and they want to explore deeper individually and privately, etc.
You can't just turn it off.
No.
So yes, it's great, and we see it moving out into other conversations online, on LinkedIn, as people are continuing to discuss and share opinions and broaden that conversation to other people online as well. So it's been a really fun thing that we've seen happen.
So this inclusive think tank group really comes together with their firsthand knowledge and really wants other people to get involved. So how can others get involved?
Absolutely. This is, to me, one of the most exciting parts is that this isn't a small group. This isn't a group that gets together once a month and just talks amongst themselves and then moves on and goes back to their lives. It's, as we are planning and putting together the summit, it's constructed in a way that create space for so many different types of people to come and get involved during those 3 days and to find what resonates and what matters to them and to build those relationships and to meet people in all these different areas. But we've actually really gone out of our way to expand it beyond those 3 days. So we've really created a year-round effort for people to plug in at different touch points along the way and to continuously be building those relationships. So it's not just a 3-day event, see everybody, bye, I'll see you next year. That's actually why I'm in town right now, why we're talking. Today is the spring soiree, which is the kickoff to summit season. So everybody is collecting now, and that's an open invitation, a time to come in, whether you're an individual or a company, and get involved. And then for the next however many months,
what are we? April, May, June, July, August, September, October. So like a good 6-7 months.
Right. So this is a good opportunity for anyone, whether you're an individual or a company, to plug in for the next 7 months and be involved in conversations that are happening in person throughout those 7 months, but also online and expanding the community that way. So there are lots of opportunities to get involved. Definitely encourage anyone to show up at the summit. Come find any of us, say hi, introduce yourself. That's half the fun, is meeting new people and growing that community. Because again, we're all in it. But then continuing that after the summit as well, continuing those conversations, with our online community, and looking forward to kicking off next year already.
Well, and I think when I look at the sponsors that have had the greatest success in getting involved, and sponsor's such a commercial word, but the real, what I like to think of them is supporters of Summit. So those folks that have come in and supported and found the real organic ways to get involved throughout that 7-month window. And, there are other events besides the big ones. There are smaller, more casual events, plus the summit's involved and supports a number of our industry partner events as well. So that whole ecosystem, when you get involved in it, you know, we all like to do business with who we know, who we like. And you can't replace that in-person thing. And so Summit ends up becoming this 3-day moment where it's Old Home Week if you've gotten going through this year and then, or years ahead, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It goes back to the relationships, whether you're individuals or companies, that when you are plugged in and involved, the earlier that you're plugged in and involved, the more opportunity you have to grow those relationships. And in a space and in an industry where individual relationships and trust matter so much and really drive the day on every single aspect of what we do, being able to put a face with a name matters. And being able to put a face with a name more than just someone you met for a few minutes on the side of a conference matters even more. So this ecosystem of people across the board that includes organizations and other industry partners and corporate supporters and individuals from all different aspects of their careers all coming together throughout the year, rather than just for the big culminating 3 days of the summit, which I completely agree is absolutely Old Home Week and is 1,000% worth just being there for those 3 days. But it really just builds on itself and grows and takes on a life of its own. And that's what it's done for the last 14 years. And I'm very happy and excited to have been a part of it for the 10 plus years that I've been around, and gives me a fun excuse to come back to the Twin Cities repeatedly throughout the year, which I'll never pass up because I just love it here. But it's something that has built on itself over and over and just grown over the years, and we're excited to see where it goes next.
Okay, and we're going to do 3 quick recaps because we're going to be tidy about this, right? So why do you keep coming back in a minute or less?
I keep coming back for the people, not the names in the Rolodex, but the actual relationships and the actual community that is built up around this event throughout the year.
And this year's theme is?
This year's theme is All In for Next, because it's all hands on deck, and we're bringing everything we have to bear on the problems around the corner that we can't see yet, the challenges from new technology and the opportunities from new technology that we only get to realize if we're doing it in a safe, secure way, and that's what we're all coming together to do.
What are a few of the hot technologies that cyber pros are paying attention to right now? A couple of them. AI, obviously.
I would say
Amazon Web Services, Google.
I would say AI for sure, and that is almost a massive book with multiple chapters in it on its own, because there are so many sizes, shapes, flavors of AI technology that are coming out now, and more that are built on those and built on those. But that's a big one. There are a lot of fun things happening in the quantum computing space. So that's another fun area that we've been paying attention to and are going to keep watching as it just grows at the exponential speed right now. But I think from a security perspective, it's really just widening that aperture to capture all of these different things that are coming in. Like, what's the new thing that AI is going to throw at us next? We don't know, but we're going to try and be ready for it.
Right.
What's coming next with quantum? Don't know, but we're going to be ready for it.
Right. So those would be the 2 big ones, and then how everybody else knows those is deep fakes and all the different, all the different.
Yes.
Those are the nouns, and there's a lot of verbs.
Yes, been having a lot of fun. As a sidebar, a lot of fun conversations about fun, maybe the wrong word when you're not in this industry, but
yes,
a lot of conversations about deep fakes and fraud and how that's impacting different industries, from financial to everybody else. So there are a lot of ways that the technologies, right when you think you know them and you know what they do, twist and turn and take on a new form.
Yes.
So it's being flexible and nimble enough to roll with that.
Okay, and how can others get involved in the Cybersecurity Summit ecosystem?
Well, I would say coming to the summit, hands down, a great place to start. It's really a crash course in what this whole thing is all about. So it's an opportunity not just for learning and expanding your own personal knowledge base, but a great chance to meet everybody and to meet other people who are in similar positions and different positions and coming from different places. And that's hands down where I would say to start. But spring soiree is now.
Yeah.
Sure,
It'd be tight. Yeah. We don't know when you're listening. So Spring Soiree is an April event. And so if you're listening in July, plan on 2025.
Right. Mark your calendars now. It's going to be great.
Save the date, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But also I would say a lot of the conversation throughout the year happens online. Yeah. I would say
on our LinkedIn.
LinkedIn is a great place to go start jumping into conversations, commenting on things, getting involved. You'll start recognizing names and topics and things that are being discussed there. But it's a great way to dip your toe into the ecosystem and really feel what it's all about.
And that's at cybersecuritysummit.org, right? So if you look at that on LinkedIn, people will find it. But where will we find you online, or how can people reach out to you to get to know you more than they got to know you today?
Oh, sure, of course. I am also on LinkedIn.
I think you're just Loren Dealy Mahler. If you key in your name,
right,
there aren't a lot of them.
Right. So you can find me online. I'm on LinkedIn as well, and always happy to chat and connect.
Yep. And on the cybersecuritysummit.org site, there's a think tank page, and all our think tank advisors are there, so you can get an idea of who all the other amazing folks are.
Yep, it's a fun group. So come find us online. We're always there.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Great overview, and I think we gave people the cliff notes of how to get involved and why. And I would be really surprised if you don't, as you're listening, aren't interested now. Thanks for joining us today at the Cybersecurity Summit podcast. See you next week. We invite you to join our Cyber Pro community on LinkedIn at Cybersecurity Summit.